As you watched old Shay number 2 travel the Shenango Flume Company Railroad, did you notice how slowly the train moved? Now, we didn't run the train slowly on purpose. This is a prototypical top speed for a Shay, and for any geared locomotive for that matter. You see, a Shay is a very different kind of steam locomotive from a more conventional side rod engine. Power is developed in 3 cylinders mounted beside the boiler on the right side of the engine. They drive a line shaft, which runs along the side of the engine down near the wheels. Power is transmitted to the wheels through these big bevel gears, one on each axle. On a Shay, the boiler is offset slightly to the left to balance the weight of the cylinders and valve gear mounted on the right. Because of that, a Shay looks a little strange from a head-on view. Because it is a geared locomotive, a Shay's top speed was only about 10 miles per hour. But where Shays were typically used, this wasn't a problem. Shays were often used in logging operations because the tracks for logging were almost always just temporary tracks laid on the ground with very little, if any, ballast. After all, the logging companies were in the lumber business, not the track-laying business. They put as little time as possible into laying the track, just enough so that the Shay could move over the track without derailing. Once the logging operations were finished in a particular area, the track was pulled up and moved to the next logging site. With every wheel a driving wheel, Shays were very sure-footed machines with lots of pulling power for their size. Because the wheelbase of each truck was short, they could safely operate on sharp curves and rough track. And if the engine did derail, the crew would simply set out the re-railing frogs, and the Shay pulled herself back on the rails. There were other types of geared locomotives, too. This is a Heisler locomotive, powered by 2 cylinders in a V arrangement, driving a shaft which runs along the center line of the engine. This shaft drives 1 axle on each truck, and side rods transmit the power to the second axle on the truck. Pulling power is about the same as a Shay, and the Heisler can run just a bit faster. Geared steam locomotives typically toiled well off the main line in the backwoods and timber stands of the country. They never had the glory of pulling a fast passenger train at mile-a-minute speeds, but their place in American railroading history is unique, and well preserved. One of the finest fleets of operating Shay locomotives in the world can be found at the Cass Scenic Railroad, deep in the hills of West Virginia. Their roster of Shay locomotives includes this one, Western Maryland Shay No. 6, the largest Shay in the world.